Hello everyone, you're listening to Alternative Revelations with Linda Emanuel. And this is podcast number 70. And before I can begin, I have to say this disclaimer that I'm not a medical doctor, nor am I a licensed practitioner. Therefore, I cannot give medical advice. And these podcasts are for information only. And also, if this resonates with you, so be it. If not, just disregard it. And I have been watching what's going on through YouTube. I don't have TV, so I can't watch any live broadcasts from news stations. But this is just an update from Creator, what's going on. Now they're coming out with these swab tests, and Creator is telling me to tell my listeners to beware of this. This could contain a pathogen. Also, beware of any forced vaccines. These will not be to our benefit. And also, Creator wants to convey that if you're going to stockpile up anything besides toilet paper, and this is not really a funny, joking manner, you want to stock up on food for the next year and a half. There's going to be a food shortage. They are going to create it. It won't be natural. They'll create it through drought, and they'll create it through too much rain in the Midwest and elsewhere. And also, if you grow gardens, I see seeds out right now. You might want to buy your seeds before other people catch on, and there will be a seed shortage. And I think seeds can be stored for a couple years if left in a dry place. So again, you might want to buy your seeds right now for a garden while the supply is there. And I do suggest you watch In the Shadow of Hermes, Hermes, and I will leave the link in the description of the podcast. This documentary is by Yuri, I want to say the word Lina, Lina, that's his last name. It's a documentary on the Bolshevik Revolution and how the communist takeover of Russia. And one of the ploys the communists, or I should say the Vatican, did was they starved close to over, I think, 50 million people, maybe more. They took away their weapons, and then they took away their food, and the people starved to death. And that's the way these communists think. They have no respect for human life other than their own. In fact, they will kill their own if need be. So I recommend watching In the Shadow of Hermes about the communist takeover of Russia. And it's similar to what is happening right now in America with this lockdown. It's the New World Order coming our way. And it is a little challenging to watch because it is in Russian with subtitles, but it's really worth watching because it will really enlighten you as to what and how the Vatican took over Russia. And FYI, the Jesuits were the creators of communism. You can do the research on your own. And also, this podcast is really going to be about the first bioweapon test of the coronavirus. Yes, the coronavirus really did exist. It is a hybrid or a cross of a SARS virus, and it is inside of a mycoplasma. And this was verified last week. Dr. Taylor did come up to St. Louis, but he had to get back to the South and treat a lot of ill patients. But we were sitting in front of my TV watching YouTube, and somebody came on and was saying this, that they noticed that when you cut back on your sugar intake, that the coronavirus population decreased. Now, viruses don't eat or use sugar, but mycoplasma does. So this was really obvious that this organism is a mycoplasma. And also the coronavirus that they're talking about right now, it is affected by the HIV drugs, and that is another mycoplasma. And one more note, I have been hearing the word retrovirus all over the place. Now, a retrovirus is a scientist name for mycoplasma, and scientists think that HIV is a virus, but it isn't. HIV is a mycoplasma with the DNA material of the Visna virus inside. It is a genetically modified organism created by our U.S. bioweapon program in Fort Detrick, Maryland. So if you were told that HIV is a virus, which is actually a mycoplasma, and you saw another kind of mycoplasma, you would put two and two together and you would give mycoplasma a virus name. But since it isn't exactly a virus, they use the term retrovirus. So again, whenever you hear the term retrovirus, it is a mycoplasma. And I also recommend that you read the PDF on my website called AIDS: Made in America. It was written by Donald W. Scott, the great whistleblower in Canada, who revealed the truth about our bioweapon program in America. And again, it is a PDF on my website. It is probably about a 17-year-old article, but it has the whole history of the AIDS program and how it was unleashed, etc. Very interesting article if you're interested in the origins of AIDS. Now back to the podcast. And by the way, myco means fungus. In the beginning, when mycoplasma was named, they thought it was a fungus, but no, it is in a bacteria family. It is a cell wall deficient bacterium that is resistant to antibiotics. That is why it is such the perfect bioweapon. It is just the DNA strand of a bacterium encased in a double cell membrane made of a fat and a sugar. And I recommend that you listen to my podcast on ways to kill mycoplasma. Now back to the podcast. And by now, if you're listening to what I say or my podcast, you already know that our government is just all propaganda. You really can't trust anything that comes out of these people's mouths. And also, I'd just like to tickle your curiosity. I can't come out with the truth on this because my life would be in danger. But I'm going to leave some links. And I want to have you draw your attention to our president, Donald Trump. Now, I want you to watch some of his latest videos. And Donald Trump has blue eyes. And this Trump that we are seeing on the TV or the YouTube channel giving all these live coronavirus speeches, this guy has brown eyes. And today, his mask was disintegrating on his face. Also, just pull up some old videos of his inauguration and also his talk or interview on the Super Bowl interview, and start doing some comparisons. The normal Donald Trump has creases between his eyebrows at the top of his bridge of his nose. Also, look at Donald Trump's teeth. Donald Trump, the original Donald Trump, had perfectly white teeth on the bottom. The guy that was speaking for the president yesterday kind of has black on the bottom of his teeth, excuse me. Also, the Trump, I would love for anybody who listens from the East Coast. Donald Trump is from the East Coast. I would just love it if you would give me some comments back on my YouTube channel about what you think about this Donald Trump and how he speaks. And people in the Midwest, we have bad language. We say fark and we say narth and we say aunt instead of aunt. And we also use the word wash when we're going to do our laundry. We'll say, I got to do my wash. And I've tried to break myself of all these bad English habits. Now, the Trump yesterday, I counted at least 10 Warshingtons in the first 10 minutes of the speech, and I'm going to leave that link on the description of this podcast, and I'll leave the times when he said it. And you be your own judge what's going on with this. I already know what's going on, but if I come out with it, I did come out with a podcast about a month ago on it, but they told me to take it off because I could be killed. So you come to your own conclusion. Since everybody's being forced to stay home right now, do some research, and also listen to a lot of Jordan Maxwell back in 2009 when he talks about the banking system and the birth certificate fraud. And I'm going to do some podcasts on that coming up, stepping up and do the right thing and get our country back peacefully. Now back to the podcast. But this again, getting back to the subject, this podcast is going to be about the bioweapons that they tested last year that relate to what's going on right now. So here goes. And before I get started, I'm going to read you some symptoms of the 5G. Headaches, vertigo, fatigue, ringing in your ears, sinus problems, nausea, leg cramps, respiratory problems, endocrine and thyroid disorders, stress and irritability, skin problems, arthritis and body pain, sleeping problems, heart problems, eye problems, seizures. Also, it can cause hair loss, swelling, low energy, appetite loss, bone marrow damage, depression, organ damage, confusion, incapacitation, and death. And it can cause infections. Now, some of these might be mycoplasma infection symptoms, which can be brought on by low oxygen. Remember, mycoplasma is anaerobic, and it monitors three things in your body: your oxygen level, your pH, and your immune system. And if it's advantageous anytime in your body, mycoplasma will awaken, and the less oxygen in your body will awaken mycoplasma. And if you remember from a previous podcast, the 5G causes the atoms connecting oxygen to spin, and this inhibits or blocks the hemoglobin on our red blood cells to pick up oxygen. This is why people in China were dropping over in the streets, because Wuhan was one of the first cities in China that put the 5G in action. So here goes about the bioweapon program, about the coronavirus, and another big virus that got tested last year. And Creator did tell me that this bioweapon, the coronavirus, which is a combination of mycoplasma and the SARS virus, was tested in China, and I can't tell you the name of the town that it was tested in, but around the middle of last year, and the Chinese government did not know this test was being done. Now, the other part of the world that this coronavirus was bioweapon tested was, I came out with the podcast around July, very beginning of July. And this particular bioweapon test on the coronavirus was done in the Fiji Islands. And the couple this affected were named David Paul, who was 37, and his wife, Michelle Paul, who were 35. And they arrived in Fiji on May 22nd last year and checked into their hotel on the Denarau, I'm going to spell it Denarau island, which is west of the nation's main island. But soon after they both arrived, they became gravely ill and were hospitalized with symptoms of vomiting, diarrhea, weakness, and shortness of breath. Now, this couple lived in Fort Worth, and they just died 2 days apart. After reporting feeling unwell, they were treated at a local medical facility where they subsequently passed away. And this is what really makes it kind of sad. They are survived by 4 young children, a 1-year-old boy they had together, and 3 other children from previous relationships who are now in the custody of relatives in the United States. Now, shortly after they got to Fiji, they texted their relatives that they had been throwing up for 8 hours. And she says, Dave has diarrhea and my hands are numb, and we will text when we can. Now, she messaged again after returning to the hotel, and she said, we just got back from the clinic. They gave us fluids and anti-nausea drip. They gave us electrolyte packets and anti-nausea pills. She says, we still don't feel 100%, and we're going to rest in our rooms. Now, after the couple had returned to their hotel room, they returned to the hospital, but it was too late for her. She died on May 25th, and by the way, they had arrived on the 22nd. And they couldn't get her an IV, couldn't revive her, and that's when she passed away. Not long after that, her husband ended up at the hotel. Then later on that day, he went back to the hospital. He got released again, and he thought he would be able to come home, but he died 2 days later. Now, what makes this so suspicious is the CDC got on board, and according to Donald W. Scott, the big whistleblower up in Canada, who I think he passed away in 2011, he said the CDC are the documenters of a bioweapon, how it affects people. Now, another thing is, Spirit, our creator, told me that this couple had been aerosoled with the coronavirus plus they were zapped with 5G, and they had the 5G symptoms along with the coronavirus. Now, we have been really fortunate that in America and maybe elsewhere, the 5G has not been unleashed on us yet. This would have been just devastating for America if we would have had a combination of a bioweapon and the 5G. Now, this, in my, as far as I understand, Spirit has told me this was the very first couple who have succumbed to the coronavirus bioweapon. And the other people, I have no idea. They were in China. They were being bioweapon tested without China's knowledge. Now I'm going to go on to the other bioweapon, and that has not been unleashed on us yet. And again, the military are making sure that the Vatican, the Illuminati, the Crown Temple will not release any bioweapons through U.S. military planes. Now I'm going to get into the other bioweapon and where it was done, the testing was done. And before I get started on this one, if this resonates with you, so be it. If not, just disregard it. These are creators' messages to me, and who died and who didn't die of the corona or the Spanish flu influenza virus of 1918. And here goes. Now this one goes back to July of 2018. David Harrison, who was 49, he died of a heart attack at the Hard Rock Hotel in the Dominican Republic. Creator tells me he died of natural causes. He did not die of any bioweapon test. Now the next one on the list is a Robert Bell Wallace. In April 12th of 2019, he died of undetermined cause at the Hard Rock Hotel. He died of the Spanish flu influenza virus, which was zapped along with the 5G. This is how he died, and it was undetermined how he died. Then in April the same month, at the Hard Rock, a man by the name of John Corcoran died of a heart attack. Spirit is telling me he died of the Spanish flu influenza virus of 1918 and the 5G. Now, these viruses were combined with the mycoplasma. It wasn't the virus by itself. Now, the next victim was on my list is a woman by the name of Miranda Shop Werner. She was 41 years old. She died of a heart attack, edema, and respiratory failure. And they diagnosed her with a heart attack. She died on May 25th. And she died of the Spanish flu influenza virus of 1918 along with the 5G. Now, the next couple that died, they checked in the same day that Miranda died. They were a couple from, I think, the Washington, D.C. area. His name is Edward Holmes. He was 63. His fiancée, Cynthia Day, was 49. They both died in the same night of heart attacks. They both died from 5G and the Spanish flu influenza virus of 1918. He complained that he had felt ill, and they died the night before they were supposed to check out. Now, the next people that died down in Dominican Republic on June 13th, 2019, a man by the name of Joseph Allen. He was 55 years old. He died. His death was undetermined, but Spirit is telling me, Creator told me, he died of the Spanish flu influenza virus and a combination with 5G. And he was at the Hard Rock Hotel. And also, it was noted in the newscast that 52 other guests had repeated vomiting and diarrhea. They complained of this. And the next victim, this is really interesting. The next victim was a woman by the name of Yvette Monique Spart, S-P-A-R-T. She supposedly died of a heart attack. She was 51 years old. She was staying in the same hotel as Joseph Allen. No connection, though. She died on June 20th. A heart attack was her diagnosis. She was only 51 years old. But in fact, this is the kicker. She didn't die of the Spanish flu influenza virus. Creator told me she died of the coronavirus and the 5G. And the last victim was on June 10th, 2019, and again at the Hard Rock Hotel. She died of a heart attack. She was 53 years old. Her name was Layla Cox. She died of Spanish influenza virus of 1918 in combination with the 5G. Now this all came from Creator. This was not from me. And we went down the line, and these people, there was one person that died naturally. So not everybody died down in Dominican Republic from these bioweapon tests. Now, if you can watch all kinds of videos, especially Mike Morales. He's got his own channel. In fact, I'll post his channel again, his link. He shows you it's proven that our own government and actually other governments around the world have unleashed bioweapons on us. In fact, there is a law that allows them to do this. So it shouldn't surprise you what they have done. And they always test a bioweapon where they can control it. So my sympathy goes out to all these families. Maybe they'll get closure if they hear of this. This is how these people died. And it's sad. I'm really sad about it. So this is going to end the podcast. And I just want to add one more thing. If you know of an alternative doctor who is open-minded, Dr. Taylor conveyed to me that he will teach doctors how to give the mild silver protein protocol. And this is really what I call the magic bullet. This kills mycoplasma in a couple applications. So if you're interested in learning about the mild silver protein IV, I'll leave my email in the description of this podcast if you're interested in getting well with the mild silver protein IV. If you live on the east side of the country of the United States, Dr. Taylor also has a clinic in Mexico, right below Cancun. And that wraps this podcast up. I hope this was educational. I hope it gives some closure to people who lost their loved ones down in Dominican Republic last year when this all started taking place. And by the way, I came out with a podcast in the beginning of July warning about the viruses, about the unleashing of it this year. So be aware, prepare, and be safe. And until next time, good night and God bless.